Scholars debate whether Spartan pederasty was symbolic or physical. Xenophon and Plutarch suggest sexual elements, though not universal or exploitative. Spartan women, unusually empowered, owned land and trained athletically. Marriage focused on producing strong children, with brides sometimes shaved and dressed as men to ease husbands' transitions from male-dominated environments. In the mess hall, boys sit silently with mentors, eating barley amid sweat and scraping spoons. At night, soft murmurs hint at emotional closeness, whether sexual or not. Secret festivals like the Hyacinthia featured men in women's clothing, lamenting Apollo's boy lover, blending tenderness with Sparta's hardness. Sexuality here was about loyalty and forging warriors who die for their city and lover. You pass a statue of Apollo, offerings at its feet, olive sprigs, stones, a scrap of red cloak. You wonder who left it, mentor, comrade, or lover. Finally, you're in ancient Greece again, but not on a battlefield. Lush hills, ivy-draped stone, and music pull you into the Dionysian mysteries, the Bacchanalia. You're handed a clay goblet of strong wine and a tambourine, led into the woods where women crowned with vines sway and hum to gods. The rites, led by Maenads, Dionysus's female followers, shattered boundaries between living and dead, self and God. With drums, moonlight, and possibly spiked wine, you dissolve into the crowd. A Maenad with wild eyes says, "He comes," meaning Dionysus. These weren't just parties, but mystery religions promising divine communion through transformation. Dancing led to frenzy, frenzy to union, union to rebirth. Sex was an expression of ecstasy, not debauchery. Legends tell of Maenads tearing apart spies, like Pentheus, mistaken for a lion. Men joined, some dressed as women or in fawn skins, parading giant phalluses symbolizing Dionysus's power. The Bacchanalia were respected yet feared, suppressed by Rome in 186 BCE for immoral behavior, but persisted underground. In a clearing, a fire blazes, shadows dance, and a man with silver-painted chest offers you a fig, claiming he saw Dionysus. A priest in a leopard-skin sash sprinkles wine, muttering blessings. Roles vanish. Farmer or noble, all are raw humanity. These rituals offered an outlet for ecstasy without shame, dissolving the self into something greater. You sit by an altar of grapes, bones, and hair, realizing why these rites endured. They let people be undone, reborn in the gods' hands. In a world of toil and structure, the Bacchanalia offered a release. Scream, laugh, dance until your feet bleed, touch someone's skin, and call it prayer. As dawn creeps in, the forest is littered with garlands, overturned goblets, and sleeping bodies. The fire is just embers, the music now a rustle of leaves. You're not sure what you did last night or who you became, but it doesn't seem to matter. That's the point. Rising slowly, dizzy, you blink at the soft pink sky. A lyre strums lazily nearby. Someone sings of wine, madness, and love. You don't recall the words, but hum along, feeling the gods still smiling in your bones. Now you're in Rome, standing in a patrician's villa, wearing a borrowed toga that's far too breezy. Someone hands you Falernian wine, another whispers, "Welcome to the orgy." But it's not what you expect. No wild, unrestrained chaos. It feels bureaucratic, like an office party with better furniture. There's sex, but it's performative, watched by senators and merchants sipping diluted wine, commenting under their breath. You're on a triclinium, those angled couches where eating, drinking, and lounging blur, and the room's energy feels off, detached, curated, more power play than passion. Roman elite orgies weren't just for pleasure. They were displays of dominance. Hosting one was a flex of wealth, influence, and control over bodies. Slaves, male and female, performed. Guests could join or watch, but everything hinged on control. Who had it? Who lost it? Who never had a chance? A portly senator lectures a half-naked dancer, who nods politely, trained to endure. Nearby, a wealthy woman toys with a feather fan as three young men act out a suggestive scene from Ovid's Metamorphoses, blending poetry and wrestling in choreographed chaos. The frescoes are unsubtle, Pan chasing a nymph, a satyr mid-thrust with a horrifyingly accurate smile. Romans loved erotic art, but it's symbolic, not lustful, reminding everyone they're descended from gods who didn't bother with consent. Quirky fact: Roman dining rooms often featured phallic decorations, like the fascinum, a carved penis amulet to ward off evil. You could eat olives under a mosaic of Mercury's genitals and feel protected. Sipping wine cautiously. You don't know what's in it. Someone tries to pull you into a debate about virtue and pleasure. You decline, focusing on the central pool where rose petals float like bloated luxury. A man with coal-lined eyes recites poetry, reclining against another's thigh. No one cares. Bisexuality was standard for citizen men, as long as they dominated. Being on the receiving end, especially as a freeborn man, meant ridicule and lost status. Roman orgies were about power, not mutual pleasure. Men dominated, women and slaves submitted, hierarchy carved into the cushions. Yet in private gatherings among artists and poets, there's softer intimacy. Poetry readings, slow dances, quiet indulgence without an audience. You glimpse this when a guest pulls a lover into the garden, giggling like children. Scholars debate how common these orgies were. Daily elite affairs or exaggerated rumors spread by enemies. Most accounts come from moralists or graffiti, possibly reflecting fantasy more than reality. Emperor Tiberius's island retreat, allegedly filled with children trained in obscene acts, is detailed by Suetonius, but historians question if it's propaganda. Orgies were ancient tabloid fodder. Wandering past gold bead curtains, you find an alcove lit by oil lamps. A young woman strums a lyre, her song wordless, while a man listens, his hand on hers. For a moment, there's no hierarchy, just warmth. You stay a while. Back in the main room, the mood shifts. People pass out or slip away in pairs. Wine gone, floors sticky with honey cakes and worse. A server collects goblets, eyes haunted. You nod. He doesn't respond. Stepping into the cool Roman night, the stars feel too pure. You've left a place claiming pleasure but delivering staged intimacy, where status ruled and souls rarely survived intact. You wonder if they ever feel anything real when the wine runs dry. On Cyprus, in Paphos, the air is light with salt and orange blossom. People smile freely, robes loose, laughter musical. You walk a white stone path to the Temple of Aphrodite, expecting no senators or stage performances. It feels sacred, sensual, quiet. The temple statue isn't a graceful nude but a conical black stone, smoothed by centuries of hands, older than Greece itself. Here, you merge with Aphrodite. Stories say women offered themselves to strangers as devotion, not coerced or paid, but to enact the goddess's will through unbound, divinely inspired love. In the temple courtyard, women sit on smooth benches, draped in pale linen, holding clay tokens stamped with doves, Aphrodite's bird. No makeup, no jewelry, no flirtation, they wait. A man kneels, places a coin at a woman's feet, she nods, and they walk to a shadowed room. It's less erotic than intimate, like love arriving and vanishing before dawn. Herodotus described this with reverence, but scholars doubt its scale. Little archaeological evidence supports widespread temple sex. It might be metaphorical or a misread custom. Still, Cyprus embraces the myth. Locals speak of full moon love festivals, temples lit by oil lamps, filled with lyre music and laughter. Couples slept on sacred ground, their love witnessed by the goddess, no judgment passed. In a temple garden, a frieze shows three figures entwined in surrender, faces skyward, hands open. An inscription reads, "To give is to become divine." A priestess carrying figs, and myrrh says she doesn't want worship. She wants honesty. You sit under a fig tree, pondering this older, darker Aphrodite, a force pulling lovers together and apart, demanding openness. The Aphrodisia festival saw her statue washed in seawater, perfumed, and carried through streets as women danced barefoot, inviting others to join. Some say it ended in ecstatic celebration, others in quiet stargazing, but love and worship blurred. At dusk, women light clay lamps at their feet, chosen or not, unperturbed either way. You wonder what it means to offer yourself without guarantee, to let go of certainty before something vast. A man offers you a dove-shaped token, just in case, with a smile. You pocket it, unwilling to let go. Lying on a stone bench under the stars, you hear footsteps, wings, or laughter on the wind, holding the token tight, feeling alone. Next, you're in ancient India along the Ganges, walking barefoot through a forested path to a temple ashram, the air sweet with sandalwood smoke. People pass with folded hands, eyes gentle but knowing. You're here for a tantric initiation, far from pop culture's cliches. Tantra uses the body to transcend it, sometimes through sex, but not for climax, for channeling energy, invoking deities, and bridging the physical and divine. A guru with ash-marked forehead leads you to a red-draped platform where a couple meditates, eyes closed, air shimmering between them. Candles flicker, casting shadows on carved deities, Shiva, Kali, Parvati, mid-dance, mid-embrace. The guru's chants vibrate through your chest, knees, spine, like a tuning fork against your soul. The couple begins slow mudras, synchronized breathing, not seduction but meditation. The woman embodies Shakti, divine feminine energy. The man, Shiva, pure consciousness. Their goal is awakening through chakras, not orgasm. In some tantric sects, like Vimakara, practitioners broke taboos, sex, meat, alcohol, to transcend duality. Scholars debate whether texts like the Kularnava Tantra describe literal sexual rites or meditative metaphors. Western views often reduce Tantra to sex, missing its broader spiritual depth. The couple faces each other, knees touching, chanting "So I am that." Hands move to hearts, eyes lock, then a slow, devotional merging, not explicit, but like a candle becoming its flame. Some say temples like Khajuraho, with erotic sculptures, were tantric metaphors. Others see them celebrating human life. The guru shows you a Sanskrit scroll mapping how intentional sexual acts open inner gateways. The body is a temple, he says, but most only visit the door. Outside, monks sweep, birds call from mango trees, but the ritual's pulse lingers. Another initiate smiles with radiant compassion, as if saying, "You'll get it someday." Leaving, the sun rises over the river, mist lifting, everything golden. This wasn't a sex ritual, but a conscious unfolding, with sex as the key, not the treasure. Jasmine and conch shells line the path back. You feel light, thoughts cleansed by something unnameable, love, divinity, or the realization that not all pleasure is indulgent, not all surrender weak. They chase truth, the body a holy doorway. In a Mayan city, jungle vines and pyramids rise like frozen fire. The air hums with insects, stone steps bleed history. You're stepping into a union, not between people, but humans and gods, and it will hurt. The Mayas saw life as a cycle requiring payment. Blood for rain, pain for prophecy. Sex, sacrifice, and ritual intertwined. On a ceremonial platform, decorated with petals and clay figurines of entwined couples, a jaguar-pelted priest with a bone necklace says, "The gods are hungry, but want more than blood." The ritual honors Ixchel, goddess of love, fertility, and destruction, depicted with serpents and claws. Chosen women chant, sway, then draw obsidian blades, piercing tongues, earlobes, or intimate areas. Blood drips on a bark paper, burned as offerings, smoke carrying their pain skyward. They don't scream or hesitate. It's deliberate, sacred. Among the Maya, sexuality wasn't just for pleasure or procreation. It was a conduit for unlocking other realms. Ritual sex during major festivals or calendar transitions balanced cosmic energies, sometimes symbolically, sometimes physically. Fragments describe high-ranking priestesses engaging in ceremonial intercourse with chosen warriors to secure divine favor. Not orgies, but contracts to stabilize the world. You're shown pottery shards and stone carvings, mostly Maya, but shared with Mesoamerican motifs, depicting couples in explicit, bizarre acts preserved in museum-quality clay. Nothing is hidden or shameful. The Mayas celebrated eroticism as part of life cycle. Birth, sex, death, rebirth, endlessly repeating. A debated text mentions a sacred union where a royal woman and a divinely chosen man isolated in a cave for 9 nights, reenacting the world's birth through prayer and carnal connection. The cave, symbolizing the womb and underworld, made it more than mating. It was recreating existence. Some scholars call this myth, but cave shrines with ritual evidence suggest otherwise. As night deepens, drums beat low, vibrating your bones. Dancers painted in red and black move with jaguar grace. A priest in a jaguar pelt places a sculpture of Ixchel mid-birth, fierce, not serene, on an altar, chanting for rain, fertility, and strength in childbirth. He pours chocolate mixed with blood over the stone, inviting women to smear it on their foreheads and chests. You're drawn into the circle to witness, not participate. A woman, still bleeding from ritual wounds, kneels before the statue, joined by a young warrior painted with blue swirls and jaguar spots. They embrace gently, not lustfully, under firelight and drumbeats. The act, watched in respectful silence, feels elemental, like wind eroding stone or fire consuming leaves, not voyeuristic. The ceremony continues with chants, blood, and ritual, blurring time and rules. When it ends, the couple is wrapped in woven cloth and carried away as semi-divine offerings, spending days in seclusion, nourished with honey and maize, returning bonded, altered, having opened a path between worlds. Sitting at the clearing's edge, your heart pounds with the drums. Smoke rises, stars blink through the jungle. The Maya weren't aiming to shock, but to balance body and cosmos, hunger and holiness. As dawn breaks, women wash blood away in a sacred pool, laughter rising like birdsong. You walk away wondering what we lost when we stopped seeing bodies as instruments, even prayers. In Japan, under Mount Fuji, you're at the Kanamura Matsuri, the festival of the steel phallus in Kawasaki. Streets buzz with vendors and celebrants around 3 portable shrines shaped like giant penises, pink, black lacquer, and gleaming. Penis-shaped lollipops, keychains, and tiny hats abound. Children giggle, grandmothers wave phallic fans. It's not a modern gimmick, but rooted in the Edo period. Legend tells of a woman cursed by a vaginal demon that bit off suitors' penises. A blacksmith forged an iron phallus, breaking the demon's teeth and freeing her. The relic is now worshipped, carried yearly in defiance. You're handed a phallus-shaped sake cup and join celebrants. A Shinto priestess in white robes offers sakiki sprigs and places candies, rice, flowers, and condoms at the iron phallus's base, blending ancient reverence with modern HIV awareness. Shinto sees the body and procreation as sacred, not impure. Rural shrines feature explicit statues, like Tegada Shrine's Honen Festival, where a 600-pound wooden phallus is paraded through fields. Crowds chant, couples pray for fertility, and women touch the shrine for children. Beneath the humor lies grounded hope for health and joy. A local, via translator, says, "We celebrate what gives life, babies joy, love, strength," pointing to the procession as God's smile. During the Edo period, sex work was legal, and sex workers prayed at Kaneyama Shrine for protection. Scholars debate whether these festivals were about agriculture, fertility, or both, symbolic or literal. They endure for holding reverence and absurdity together. You follow the shrine to its temple altar, surrounded by offerings. As the crowd disperses, petals and laughter linger, revealing resilience and life's shameless push forward. In the Arctic Circle, snow crunches underfoot, the air sharp with ice, whale oil, and seal skin. You approach an igloo, crawling through a low tunnel into a cozy space lit by a seal oil lamp. Your hosts offer stew, furs, and then, calmly, "You may sleep with my wife tonight. We share warmth here. There's no pressure, just kindness." This is wife lending, a centuries-old Inuit practice. In a harsh environment, sharing food, tools, companionship was a sacred duty for survival. It wasn't always sexual. Sometimes it was comfort for a lonely traveler. Women had agency to decline. Anthropologists see it as forging bonds between isolated families, a social insurance. Some Inuit dialects have affectionate terms for men sharing this bond. Missionaries, horrified, nearly erased the practice by the mid-20th century, but in this moment it's human, not exotic. You decline gently, the trust enough. Conversation drifts to stars and seals, life fragile but warm. Scholars debate its frequency and agency, but inside the igloo, intimacy feels sacred in the shared heat, not needing drama to be profound. In Iron Age Britain, among the Celts, you're at Beltane, a festival of fire and fertility. Bonfires are stacked in a field near a sacred grove, two fires forming a corridor for purifying livestock and people. A priestess in hawthorn crown and berry-dyed robes hands you a rowan garland for heart and hips. As fires blaze, drums and flutes drive hypnotic dances. Sage and resinous smoke blur awareness. Beltane thinned the veil between worlds, encouraging fertility rites where couples paired off in the woods, sacred and unashamed. Greenwood marriages lasted a year and a day, their children considered lucky. The May Queen and Green Man lead a procession, their union sealing the earth's fertility. In the woods, the mood softens, couples drift to glades, others dance under moonlight. A woman with berry-stained fingers shares her cup, saying, "The gods watch kindly." Scholars debate Beltane's literalness, citing Victorian exaggeration, but folklore and Christian complaints suggest real rites. Maypoles, with their phallic symbolism, were danced around with ribbons. As fires die, people return flushed, some hand in hand, others alone but smiling. It was a reclamation, desire as divine, bodies as magic. You whisper thanks for a night where everything was sacred. At Delphi's sanctuary of Apollo, pilgrims climb with offerings. Honey cakes, laurel sprigs, toward the temple. You're here for the Pythia, the oracle. In the smoky Ataton, bay leaves and sulfur sting the air. The Pythia, young and radiant, sways above a chasm, breathing vapors, chanting in an unrecognizable tongue. Her trance bridges worlds, her words divine counsel. Whispers suggest she doesn't just speak for Apollo, but joins him intimately. Ancient texts hint at this, poetic phrases of opening like a flower or the god's descent. Some see spiritual ecstasy, others ritualized sex in earlier times. Geological surveys found ethylene gas under Delphi, possibly inducing her euphoria. In a private chamber, carvings show Apollo and the Pythia entwined. Offerings here are personal: hair, a bone ring, perfumed cloth. A priest lights a flame, saying, "The god enters her, not the temple." Literal or symbolic. He smiles. The body speaks in symbols, but the gods choose their form. You leave wondering if her communion was physical or divine, or if that distinction ever mattered. Some ancient commentators believed the Pythia, chosen as virgins, became living vessels, neither wives, lovers, nor mothers. After their service, they often withdrew, some to luxury, others to wander mountains, consumed by the divine voice. A darker myth whispers of involuntary trances in ancient times, with the Pythia chained above the fissure, her body taken by mass priests or initiates acting as Apollo. No hard evidence exists, just rumors and literary hints, sparking feminist debate. Revered priestess or sacred victim? In the main chamber, another young woman takes her place above the fissure, trembling as vapors rise, her head rolling back. A priest catches her as she chants, the supplicant weeping, overcome by Apollo's voice pouring through her. At night, Delphi glows like a hearth, pilgrims camping for answers or divine connection. You leave haunted by the Pythia's sway, whispering secrets not entirely her own, a sacrifice of self to speak with a god. In ancient Peru, among the Moche, 100–800 C, you're in a dusty museum storage room, surrounded by explicit ceramic figures, not weaving baskets, but engaging in acts too vivid for daytime TV. The Moche, thriving in northern Peru, built pyramids and irrigation systems, their pottery depicting agriculture, warfare, myth, and a candid sexual library. Heterosexual, homosexual, oral, anal, even skeletal couplings. These ritual objects, used in burials and ceremonies, weren't hidden or humorous but sacred. A stirrup-spout vessel shows a woman and a heroically posed man in a non-reproductive act, likely tied to fertility beyond procreation. Non-vaginal acts dominate, suggesting specific rituals reserved vaginal intercourse. Skeletons in sexual poses symbolize life's continuity, not just creation. A famous pot depicts a man playing a flute while a skeleton performs oral sex. Music as offering, skeleton as past, erection as life's persistence. Scholars debate whether Moche ceramics were educational, moralistic, spiritual, or honest snapshots of life. Some see them as political, coding power and social roles, with nobles and farmers alike depicted. Another pot shows a couple in a logistically tricky position, a third figure cheering with chicha, fermented maize. The figure's calm faces and gentle hands testify to unashamed connection, not titillation. Outside, Andean peaks cast golden rays. The Moche's fearless clay stories, blending sacred and carnal, confront modern repression, showing sexuality as honest and divine. In ancient Tibet, at a Himalayan monastery, you witness Tantric Buddhism's esoteric rituals, far from wellness cliches. A monk and a dakini, a female embodiment of wisdom, perform in a cold, quiet room with a sand mandala. Their ritual, slow and deliberate, uses karma mudra, ritual sex, to transcend ego, not indulge it. Through synchronized movements and mantras, they seek dissolution, not climax, harnessing pleasure to pierce illusion. Early texts describe this as a terrifying ordeal, with fasting, mantras, and the dakini testing the monk's detachment. Legends of Padmasambhava and Yesha Tsogyal depict explosive unions for mutual transformation. The couple's synchronized stillness feels pure, but scandals taint Tantra's history, with some abusing it for power. Outside, snow falls, and you ponder Tummo, inner fire, melting separateness flickering in your ribs. In a Zulu initiation camp in southern Africa, you witness a boy's rite of passage. Teenage boys, painted in ochre, fast and endure tests in a firelit clearing. Chosen women, spiritually pure, guide them in private enclosures, teaching responsible sexuality, sometimes symbolically, sometimes through a single act of intercourse as calibration, not pleasure. The boys return as Amadota, men, with quiet pride or tears, their childhood buried. An elder explains, a man who knows his body can protect it, knowing a woman's honors it. Anthropologists debate exploitation versus cultural context, noting sexuality's role in power and stability. Recent reforms emphasize consent and symbolic instruction. Girls' parallel ceremonies teach strength through Eumemulo songs, though virginity is emphasized, creating debated imbalances. Later, boys face circumcision with ancestral blades, their tears sacred. The rite prepares them for responsibility, not pleasure, echoing through a praise singer's chants. In Pompeii, graffiti and the Lupanar brothel scream openness. Stone beds and vivid frescoes advertise services, with graffiti like Meritus had the best time with Fortunata, or Lucius screws like Mars. The Lupanar, near the Forum, was licensed and taxed, sex work as normal as bread making. Phallic symbols on fountains and ovens symbolize protection. Yet, Enslaved women like Felicia worked in harsh conditions, their names scratched into walls. Scholars debate whether this visibility normalized sex work or exposed patriarchy. Homes display erotic art, from Venus in baths to Cupids spanking each other, blending sacred and sexual. At a Priapus carving, fertility meets humor, a blessing and a boast. Pompey's unfiltered joy, laughter, gasps, scribbled mischief, echoes through ash-covered streets. In Tenochtitlan, at a festival for Coilzaqui, the moon goddess, dancers and marigold-scented smoke fill the temple plaza. Her myth, dismembered by her brother Huitzilopochtli, fuels rituals of music, fasting, and bloodletting. Sawat-Lampa priestesses, serving lunar goddesses, perform secret rites during eclipses in temple caves. Two priestesses, adorned with bone jewelry and lunar spirals, dance as Coilzaqui in moonlight, their union invoking restoration, not pleasure. An elder scatters amaranth seeds, symbolizing rebirth. Outside, a warrior's heart is offered, blood paralleling the cave's intimacy, both feeding renewal. Aztec records hint at physical or symbolic night dances, possibly euphemized for colonial eyes. Sexuality was cosmic infrastructure, a priestess's embrace coaxing rain or lunar return. Under moonlight, Tenochtitlan pulses, pyramids like beasts, showing a world of cycles, not sin, where bodies carried myths. In Sumer, you're at a royal wedding, not with toasts but a perfumed bed for the king to marry a goddess literally. The union, part of the sacred marriage rite, ensures fertile crops through divine consummation. In Sumer's Uruk, you stand in a torchlit temple courtyard, surrounded by flower garlands as priests chant to Inanna, goddess of love, war, and fertility, wild, untamed, having returned fiercer from the underworld. Tonight, the king becomes Dumuzi, her divine consort, joining a high priestess embodying Inanna in the Hieros Gamos, a sacred marriage to ensure cosmic balance. Bathed in scented oils, robed in linen, eyes lined with kohl, the king processes with the priestess, crowned with lapis lazuli and date stones, to a bedchamber evoking spring, reeds a lion's head fountain, figs, and honey. Carved on the bed are hymn lines, "He has sprouted, I have sprouted. He has opened, I have opened." The act, witnessed solemnly by priests and scribes, is rhythmic, purposeful, not erotic but holy, mimicking the land's fertility to ensure abundant crops and timely floods. Afterward, the priestess blesses the king, who kneels as before a goddess. They emerge to cheers, the city aligned. The Hieros Gamos was annual in Mesopotamian cities, sometimes theatrical, sometimes physical. Scholars debate its literalness. Hymns and temple bedchambers suggest real sex, but some argue it was poetic. Its echoes linger in modern marriage rites. Leaving the temple, you smell date wine and sandalwood, seeing clay figurines of Inanna and Dumuzi. You wonder if the gods sought not temples, but two people merging, believing their union could save the world. In Phrygia, modern-day Turkey, you witness the cult of Cybele's frenzied ritual. Amid discordant drums and flutes, men in swirling robes dance ecstatically, blood streaking their garments from self-inflicted wounds. Cybele, the primal great mother with lions, demands devotion. Her Gali priests renounce masculinity, castrating themselves on the temple altar during the Day of Blood and the Megalesia festival. The act, cheered by the crowd, is rebirth, transforming them into Cybele's brides. Some believe frenzy from dance or drugs dulled pain. Others say pain was the point. Rooted in myths of Attis, who castrated himself and became half-god, half-wound, the Gali lived outside Roman norms, wielding spiritual power through blessings and oracles. Rome tried to suppress them, banning citizens from the act, but devotion endured. Scholars debate if they were early trans figures or mythic priests. Sitting among them, their painted eyes burning with clarity, you see not mutilation but reclaimed bodies, terrifying, divine. In ancient Hawaii, on a volcanic stone heiau, The Ali'i, High Chief, performs a sacred reproductive ritual with a Wahine Kapu, sacred woman, under Lono's carving. Tattooed and oiled, they unite not for passion, but to channel mana, spiritual energy, through royal bloodlines. Sibling marriages intensified mana, a divine math. Chants called Mele Mai celebrated genitals poetically, even for newborns, as spiritual currency. The community sings softly, supporting the act as cosmic, like volcanic birth or tides. Scholars debate if these rituals were symbolic or physical, with missionaries exaggerating them as savage. Hawaiians saw sex as holy, a tool speaking to gods. After, the couple is anointed and a feast follows for the people. Sitting on lava rock, you see a culture refusing to separate sex from spirit, primal and central. In ancient China, a Taoist alchemist in a sandalwood-scented study explains Fangzhong Shu, bedchamber arts. Sexual energy, jing, stored in semen and menstrual blood, is vital. Misuse weakens, but proper technique, breathing, timing, positions, purifies and extends life. Scrolls show couples aligning energy meridians, men avoiding ejaculation to preserve jing, using muscle control or breath to redirect energy. Women, vessels of yin, provide energy men absorb. Texts like the Sunu Jing detail rhythms and lunar timing, warning against inauspicious days. Practically, midwives and farmers use these principles for health and crops. In Hachi rituals, partners exchange qi through prolonged eye contact and touch. No climax, just cosmic harmony. Some argue texts were metaphorical, but their influence on Chinese medicine persists. Leaving the moonlit garden, you feel presence, not desire, embers, not fireworks. Beneath Ephesus in the 1st century CE, you enter a secretive Hecate's sanctuary. Incense and rose oil fill the air around a triple-faced altar. Maiden, Mother, Crone. Hecate, ruler of crossroads and ghosts, oversees a ritual of binding. Veiled participants anoint each other, dancing around a fire. A priestess ties couples wrist to wrist with a black cord, whispering, "I see you. I cross with you. I dissolve with you." Their sex on fur-covered stone, deliberate and mirrored, seeks not pleasure, but dissolution of identity, watched by Hecate. Some believed orgasm sent the soul partially out, marked by black dots on foreheads. Scholars debate if it was symbolic or physical, citing inscriptions and curse tablets invoking Hecate to control hearts. The ritual ends in silence, cords cut, participants raw, having forgotten themselves. You leave, seeing not ecstasy but space, a crossroad. In the Trobriand Islands, dubbed Islands of Love, sex is open and ritualized. Teenagers explore freely, encouraged from adolescence. At an evening dance, torchlit with rolling hips and coated smiles, a boy may visit a girl's hut, staying or leaving by her choice. No guilt. 3 shared mornings signal marriage. No ceremony, just consistency. Love magic, chants, herbs, guides affection. Islanders don't link sex to biological paternity. Ancestral spirits place babies' souls in wombs, freeing sex from sin. Colonial missionaries condemned this, driving rituals underground. Scholars like Malinowski romanticized or misunderstood it, but it was functional, teaching love without shame. Under a moonlit tree, you imagine growing up here, desire a dance, not a secret. In Khajuraho, India, the Chandala temple's sandstone walls burst with carved bodies. Threesomes, acrobatics, lovers with flutes, elephants watching. Tantra, emerging between the 5th to 9th century CE, embraces desire as divine. Sex in Maithuna rituals is meditation, merging Shakti and Shiva to awaken the soul, not chase climax. Manuals detail breath, madras, and taboo-breaking in cremation grounds to confront attachment. Critics saw it as unorthodox, some arguing it was symbolic. The carvings, public and precise, prove pleasure is sacred. The temple's inner sanctum, free of eroticism, reflects the journey from chaos to clarity. Under a Bodhi tree, You see couples laugh, their acts canonized, a door to the divine. In a Utah canyon, ancestral Puebloan petroglyphs, spirals, snakes, a female figure with a coiled line hint at fertility rites. A Hopi descendant explains, rain and wombs were one, core child, sex connecting cycles. Rituals in kivas or fields, often at solstices, paired young people temporarily to harmonize human and divine. Sex, if it occurred, was welcomed. Resulting children were blessed. Spanish missionaries condemned these as pagan, and colonial suppression broke oral traditions. Scholars debate if they were symbolic or physical, but the rock's subtle carvings speak loudly. Sex was lived reverently, part of the desert's breath. Your guide says, "We still believe in the rain," and you nod, sensing both literal and mythic truth. Reflecting on this journey, from Sumer's marriage beds to Aztec caves, Trobriand dances to Cybele's sacrifices, sex was central, not a side plot, but the stage. Ancients used it to touch the eternal, carving fears and longings into walls, singing them in dances, burning them in rituals. They didn't control sex, but honored it, believing union could reach beyond flesh. In your own life, a lingering touch or silent understanding echoes this. Pleasure isn't prayer's opposite, it's prayer without words. Close your eyes, breathe, and slip into the dream beyond this moment.